Imagine being a 12-year-old, watching your dad die.
And the most performative white male award goes to... I'm so glad people are finally waking up to Dean being nothing more than a grifter.
What happens when a liberal TikTok influencer does the right thing and condemns political violence? Apparently, some of his fans turn against him. Guys, we're going to talk about Dean Withers, the liberal TikTok star with millions of followers. He also has a lot of following on other platforms, but TikTok is his main one. You guys might remember Dean if you don't know him. I actually debated him and did an event with him a few months ago. Nice enough guy, very different opinions, but he's clearly got some talent, some charisma, lots of fans. And, at least he has some common decency because he very quickly, and he actually rose to prominence in part by debating Charlie Kirk in these Jubilee-style videos where Charlie Kirk debated people. Dean was one of the people who took him on, and Dean is kind of a debate bro, almost like a liberal young TikTok era Charlie Kirk. However, anyway, after this atrocious murder of Charlie Kirk that's just shocked so much of America, Dean did the right thing. He instantly condemned it, talked about how horrible it was, and actually had an emotional moment on his live stream that I think is totally understandable and shows that he's actually not a terrible person. Here is that moment. But shocker, people are turning on him over this. At least some are. Listen to him get kind of choked up over this.
Imagine, imagine being a 12-year-old, watching your dad die. Nobody deserves that. Not even Charlie Kirk. Nobody deserves that.
Now, he's had to kind of go on the defensive because some people on TikTok, a sizable portion at least, are attacking him for showing any decency or empathy for Charlie Kirk and his family. So much so that Dean felt the need to release a follow-up video kind of making the case for why it's okay to grieve for the man who was just killed in cold blood in front of his children. Yeah, seriously, that's where we're at. Listen to this.
Charlie Kirk is dead. He got shot at an event that he was hosting in Utah. And I am sad, distraught. In fact, I just cried on my live stream in front of 250,000 people. My goal in this video is to tell you why I feel this way. If you want to end gun violence, it is something that you can never celebrate. It is always disgusting, always vile, and always abhorrent. It should come as no shock to yourself when I tell you that I think Charlie Kirk was a bad person. I've made that very clear over the last year, but does that mean I think he deserves to lose his life? No. Does that mean I think his 2 young children, who were in attendance at the event where he was shot, deserve to watch their father die? No. Does that mean I think they deserve to grow up without him? No. Does that mean I think that his wife, who was also there, deserved to lose her husband? No. And honestly, if you answered yes to any of those questions, there's a very clear line drawn between me and you. I don't want your support, and I don't support you either. We as a collective need to end gun violence, and if that phrase is negotiable for you, I believe that you're in the wrong. My thoughts and prayers go out to Charlie Kirk's friends, family, children, loved ones, as well as every single person in attendance at his event today in Utah.
Now, to me, everything he says here is just common sense and basic human decency. I commend him for it, but the bar's in hell if we're giving people props for just not supporting murder. Obviously, you shouldn't support that. But what's really disturbing to me is that I just came across video after video after video on TikTok of people attacking him for showing basic human decency and empathy like this, including in a very racially charged manner. Almost the narrative is, white men sell us out again, fake white liberal. It's actually, you're not a fake progressive for simply caring if people are murdered. Or if you are, if that's actually true, then your progressivism is a very sick ideology. But I don't think that's true. I think people can be common and have common decency and empathy and basic morals, regardless of their political beliefs. But apparently some of these people are really upset with him for daring to offer any sympathy or condolences to Charlie Kirk and his family. This one woman seems convinced that Dean was always going to show he was like a fake progressive or something. Listen to this unhinged video.
And I knew Dean Withers was going to say some shit like that. Literally last month, I was talking to my friend about how I was like, yeah, Dean Withers is cool or whatever, but I'm just waiting for the day that he shows his ass, because this happens every time. It was the same thing that happened 5 years ago when George Floyd was murdered in Minneapolis. White leftist commentators at the end of the day will always show where their actual allyship lies, and that is with the ruling class. You know why? That's their home over there. That's where they actually belong. See, people like Dean Withers are afforded a place in society where they are able to flip-flop politically, go on either side of the fence, and they're welcome on both sides. You know why? Because it's always been okay for them to be anywhere, to have any stance. And ultimately, that is where the they came from. So they're out here playing these games, but as soon as the dinner bell rings, they will not be in these streets. They will be right the back up on that porch. The chickens are coming home to roost, bitch. I don't know what to tell you.
Hey, so you're actually the bad guy here, not Dean. It doesn't make him a fake ally that he doesn't support murder and political terrorism. Or if it does, then like your movement is not something any sane or human decent person should ever be allied with. Y'all genuinely sound deranged. I don't know how to tell you that, like, you don't come off sounding like Slay Queen from this. You sound like you should be institutionalized because you're probably a threat to yourself or others. They're not going to be with us on the revolution. So are you just saying what? You're planning more murders? Like, at FBI, please, knock on this woman's door. And all of this, all of the backlash against Dean is so, like, racially tinged and charged. It's remarkable. Take a look at this next video.
And the most performative white male award goes to... I'm so glad people are finally waking up to Dean being nothing more than a grifter. It's so easy to tell people to have empathy when you do not belong to the demographic that man spent his whole life slandering and bringing violence against. He's a white guy trying to play hero. For him, this is a game who can afford to sympathize with oppressors, but us, the actual oppressors, have to deal with the consequences daily. And don't forget that white liberals are still white at the end of the day. He's preaching that we shouldn't be celebrating gun violence, but that's not what people are celebrating Charlie Kirk's death for. We're celebrating a literal Klan member being cleansed off this earth. Even his last words were transphobic and racist. Oh, but he has a wife, and f*** her too. He laid next to that man and his views and let it happen and gave him 2 children, who, by the way, did y'all know what he said about his daughter? Because I don't even think I could say it on here. But it goes along the lines of letting his daughter keep the baby of any man that decides to grape her. But I am not surprised, Dean, since you were a raging conservative racist yourself just 2 years ago. Clearly that wasn't paying the bills anymore. You guys are gonna learn to stop using political views as a form to excuse blatant racism that brings violence and danger to minority groups.
So this is deranged. It's literally just racist. You're just attacking Dean for being white. Actually, he's just showing common decency and humanity. And you're just also blatantly lying about Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk is not a literal Klan member. That's just a freaking lie. He isn't causing violence. I've disagreed with him many times. He's got, he took many stances and opinions and statements that I challenge, but like he wasn't encouraging violence against black people. It's just all of this is deranged and hallucinatory. And for you to be attacking people on your own side like this, I mean, the purity testing and the unhinged intra-civil war on the far online left is really, really disgusting. And I don't know how they ever think they're going to build any sort of coalition when you have to be pro-murder to be in the coalition. God help us if that coalition ever wins. Like, these are the actual scary people. Not like, oh, your liberal Democrat neighbor who voted for Kamala, who just has different views on the world. No, like, these are the wannabe bloody revolutionaries who I think would genuinely put us in the guillotine if they could. And these people terrify me. They should terrify you too. And frankly, the fact that Dean should reckon with the fact that some of his fans are even like this, or that he ever appealed to people like this at all in the first place. I would certainly. If any significant portion of my fans were mad at me for opposing terrorism, for opposing cold-blooded murder in front of a freaking father being killed and shot to death in front of his children, that would make me reevaluate what I'd done to ever appeal to those people in the first place. But that's just me. And I don't want to come off as dragging Dean here. He's doing the right thing. He deserves credit for this. I mean, really, it's the bare minimum, so not really, but he certainly doesn't deserve condemnation or racist attacks against him. Yet that's the TikTok discourse right now about him.
I have said from the jump that I don't trust people like Dean Withers or Hassan or any of these TikTok yappers, okay? Because at the end of the day, the reason that so many of them are having this take, the reason that so many of them are like, oh, you know, if you're celebrating this, if you're not condemning this, if you don't have empathy, then there's something wrong with you. The reason that all of them are coming out and saying stuff like this is because they see more of themselves in someone like Charlie Kirk than they do in any of the people that Charlie Kirk has been oppressing and persecuting with his rhetoric for his entire career. Dean Withers sees more of himself in Charlie Kirk than he does in me, right? Someone who's had to listen to Charlie Kirk say that I, as a black woman, have a smaller, less functioning brain than a white man, right?
I'll take fake quotes that never happened for 1,000, Alex. Like, what? I could be wrong. Maybe there's a clip out there somewhere, but I highly doubt Charlie Kirk ever said that black women have smaller brains and are dumber than white men inherently. I could be wrong. I don't think that exists. And first off, even if he did, that'd be a terrible thing to say and not true, but it also doesn't justify blowing someone's head off in front of their children. Anyway, this person almost makes a good point. The reason that someone like Dean Withers can see how destructive and evil it is to kill someone simply expressing their political views is because that's what he does. He's also an online political commentator and opinion haver. And the same logic that, and I hate to even call it logic, that people invoke to justify violence against him could absolutely be used to justify violence against Dean Withers. I'm against it all the time. But if it's just that person says things that really upset me, or I think their views are going to destroy our country, or their views are against my rights, newsflash, that logic can be employed to justify bombing abortion clinics, assassinating pro-choice politicians, all sorts of terrible stuff I would absolutely condemn, and I'm sure that this person would too. This is not a Pandora's box you want to play around with. Okay, this way, madness lies, but y'all have no clue what you're doing. You have no foresight, no education, just total blind vitriol and radical ideology is what's driving these people. And I really think the left needs to police itself. It needs to chase these people out of their movement. They're a scourge. And I hope that the left-wing people with some semblance of decency and integrity still, like Dean Withers in this case, I hope they win the day. But I'm not sure they will. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed, yada, yada, yada. I'll be back with more later today.